Well, now we're in day 2, and this is a little different can of worms. We have basically the same standard form that you need to look at, but look at which term is squared. That's the difference. Before it was y minus k plus or minus equals plus or minus 1 over 4c, and we're looking right here at this equation, y minus k squared. Okay, so when you have the y term squared, when that part is squared, then we have a left or right opening parabola, which makes a big difference. Okay, in the way it looks. So you have to be careful. Pay attention to which one is squared. In a parabola, you have only one of the terms is squared. Remember, in a circle, it was x squared plus y squared. Both of them were squared. In a parabola, you just have one squared. And depending on which one is squared, determines whether it opens up, down, or left and right. If the y is squared, if it's left and right, or right. If it's the x piece is squared, which we did yesterday, then it's up, down. And that's what you're used to seeing. Remember, the standard form of the parabola or the parent function is y equals x squared. That's what you've been used to seeing. So this is different. It's x equals y squared. Okay, but it's the exact same method for solving it. You've got a directrix that is c spaces away from the vertex, a focus that is c spaces away from the vertex. This a, what we called a in the original function, the stretch or compression, is 1 over 4c. Plus or minus means it opens up or down, or excuse me, left or right. And in this case, if it's plus, and this is what you're not used to seeing, plus is right. Let me get back to ink. Plus is right and minus will be left. So you have to remember that too, and that's something you need to put on your card as we develop that. So looking at this first example, we'll go through it. There is nothing there for both the x or y, so it has a vertex at the origin. This one has a positive 1/8, so remember that means when that number is positive, that means it opens right. So this is a right-facing parabola. So what is c? Well, remember it's 1 over 4c, and so that means that 8 equals 4c. So c is equal to 2, and then 2c, or 2 times c, will be 4. So here we go. We have c. We're going to write a 2 in there. We're going to mark the vertex at 0, 0. But now we know that it opens to the right. So what we have to do, this is the vertex, what we have to do is locate our focus and directrix. One is inside the cup of the parabola. So since it opens right, that's where the focus is. It's actually inside the parabola. Okay, so this one's the focus. And then the directrix is 2 spaces behind that. So we come down here with our dashed line, 2 spaces, or c spaces, on the other side of the vertex. So what's different then is our vertical line is an x equals line. So our directrix is at x equals -2. And our focus is at 2, 0. So we have to pay attention to the fact that it's a vertical line versus a horizontal line. So that's what's different from yesterday and today. Or we're doing these both on the same day probably, so from the other lesson to this lesson. We need then to find the spaces that are actually on the parabola to form our other 2 points. They're going to be, just like before, 2c spaces away, which is 4. We move again from the focus, so we're going to go up and down this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that point is at 2, positive 4. Okay, and we're going to go down 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that point is at 2, negative 4. And then we can draw in the parabola using those 3 points as a guide. Okay. And remember, this right here is 2 C spaces away, and so is this. That's how we determine those points. They're 2 C spaces away from the focus. All right, let's move on to 2 more examples, just like we did before. Actually, there's 4 examples in this one, probably because it's a little different. All right, first thing, we look at the number in front of the squared parentheses. We notice that it's y squared, so that means that it's a left and right or right facing parabola. Now, it's negative, so that means that it's left. Okay. So, we go back and read our vertex. Remember, it feels like we're changing the sign. So the x value of the vertex is 2 and the y value is negative 3. So we locate our vertex at 2, negative 3. It's right there. Then we calculate c. Well, 1/4 is equal to 1 over 4c. So 4c is equal to 4. So c must be equal to 1. And then 2c, which we'll use for the points on the parabola, is 2 times 1, or 2. So c is 1. So since it faces left, the cup of the parabola is facing left, the cup of the parabola will be this way. So our focus is to the left of the vertex, and our directrix is 1 space here to the right of the vertex. Okay, and this is our directrix. So our focus is at 1, negative 3. And our directrix, remember, vertical line is x equals 3. 1 space on the other side of the vertex. Now 2c points away from the focus, up and down. So here, right here is one of the points, and that's at 1, negative 1. And the other one is at 1, negative 5. Right here. And we'll go through our points and draw in the parabola. So I hope this is fairly straightforward. You're seeing what you need to do for drawing the up, down, left, and right parabolas. Let's look at example 3. The vertex is at negative 1, positive 2. So we'll go here at negative 1, 2 and put our vertex. Okay. Now where is C? 4C is equal to 12. So C is equal to 3. Okay, so we'll go here. And which way does this face? 1/12 is positive, so that means it faces right. So the cup of the parabola is to the right. It opens to the right of the vertex, so we'll go 3 spaces to the right of the vertex, and that will be our focus. And that's at 2, 2. So go back over here and write the coordinates of the point that is the focus. And the directrix is going to be 3 spaces behind the vertex. So it'll go through this point. But it's a vertical line that runs 3 spaces behind the vertex. And so that is an x equals line, and that will be at x equals negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have to take all that off because I put it in the wrong place. So I'm counted wrong. Excuse me, 3 spaces behind the vertex is here. Excuse me. Okay. So there is our directrix in the correct spot, which is at x equals negative 4. I'm glad I caught that before I confused you too much. All right, now 2c is equal to 6. That's the spaces that will tell us the other 2 points on the parabola. So we go back to the graph, and from the focus, we're going to go up 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and have a point there. And that point is at 2, 8. So you write it on your chart. I want you to fill in the blanks like this on your homework. And we'll go 6 spaces below the focus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is at point 2, negative 4. And we'll fill in, remember the focus is a point that sits inside the cup of the parabola. And we use these 3 points, the 2 we just placed in the vertex, to draw in the parabola. Okay, so let's look at our last example. And which way does this one open? It's a negative 1/8. But we have to notice that which term is squared. Where is that squared? There's an x there. So that means it's a vertical parabola, not a horizontal parabola. So this one opens with a negative 1/8 down. So expect on your homework that you might see some circles thrown in, some vertical parabolas thrown in as well. It's not just going to be the horizontal. You need to start being able to distinguish which is which. Again, both terms are squared, it's a circle. One term squared, it's a parabola. If it's the x that's squared, it opens up or down. If it's the y that's squared, it opens left or right. So the vertex on this one, looking at the x, will be negative 5 and the y will be positive 8. C, 4c is equal to 8, so c is equal to 2. So that will allow us to mark the focus and the directrix. So we go negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up here to 8. And that's the vertex. It's going to open down, so behind it, way up here at y equals 10, is going to be the directrix. And again, it's horizontal, so that one's a y equals line. Our focus is 2 spaces inside or on the other side of the vertex. And that one is going to be at negative 5, 6. 2c will be 4. So we'll go 4 spaces to the left and right of the vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is at negative 9, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. which is -1, 6. And I didn't get that marked very well, so let me see if I can do better. There we go. Now we use those 2 points we just added plus the vertex and sketch in the parabola. And we try to make it symmetric. Remember, this is an axis of symmetry going right down the middle, right here. So you try to make this vertex as you draw it symmetric about that imaginary line, which is the axis of symmetry. Okay, that's day 2 of parabolas, and that will be all we're going to do today. Your homework will be to finish and work on whatever time remains of 9-1 and 9-2 and 9-3.